What they.
Oh, but my computer savaged.
I'm going to call the September 13th regular council meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Sherry, call the roll, please. Here. Here.
Here. Mr. Yaki.
Here.
Mr. Richmond.
Here.
Mr. Vincent.
Here. Right, next item on the agenda, the reading and disposal of the journal. Any suggestions for the minutes or motion to approve for the August 9th regular council meeting? Mr. Vincent.
I only, it's a question, I don't know if we typically do this or not. Did Mr. Bilski get a chance to review the parts where it was talking about what he said? Or do we do that, or we don't? Okay, that's it. If we don't, I'm gonna do that, because it looked like what I remembered, but it's a kind of a complicated thing, and just because it's a public record, and you want to make sure it's on the record correctly, you know, but it looked right to me, so that's the question.
Anyone else? Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Mr. Emery.
Lumberman.
Yes.
Mr. Fish.
Yes.
Mrs. Irish West. Yes. Mr. Yaki.
Yes.
Mr. Richmond.
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Moving along, action upon any matter which any resident may wish to present to council. I do not see any members in attendance. Along, reports and communications from the mayor and other municipal officials. The mayor was not able to attend this evening. So moving down the line, we'll do the police report from Chief Dietzel.
Not much for me to report. One thing of major note is that we have a recent resignation. Lieutenant Pinizzato has resigned his position with the Moreland Hills Police Department effective September 15th. That's Friday. And we are starting our interviews on Friday. We're starting with our interview. 3 candidates we're bringing in the 18th. So I'm looking forward to meeting these individuals. You know, very qualified applicants. Hopefully, we can get one, you know, out of this group to hire for a patrol position.
Any questions for?
So you're interviewing for patrol, not the lieutenant's
The
position.
lieutenant's position is going to stay open right now. The focus really needs to be patrol. I need people to patrol the streets. You know, so yes, and this would be the vacancy that was left by Officer Buzakan. So we had about 14 total candidates, and we're interviewing 8. A couple of them, since they applied, have taken positions elsewhere.
I was just thinking that the lieutenant position will probably get filled internally, potentially. Then you'll have 2 patrol positions you'll need to fill.
That could be the case, yeah. But like right now, I'm staying focused on the patrol position. Yeah.
Chief, could you remind everyone of the good news with Officer Bennett?
Thanks. Sorry. They're crazy. So yes, Officer Bennett, him and his wife, they had a baby girl Saturday morning at 3:54. Oliviana Grace Bennett. Yes, 3 weeks early, but you know what? She's happy and healthy. She's about 5 pounds, I think 6 ounces. Thank you for reminding me. I appreciate that. I know he will as well. Yeah. So he's going to be off for about 3 weeks, but we have, even though he was in the schools, we worked with the schools, so we're having 2 officers detailed up there. We have the school safety officer. We have another officer that'll be, you know, so we're still going to have the 3 police officers on the campus until he returns in about should be 1st of October.
I guess I have a question on it. So for the school resource officer,
Yeah.
somebody is backfilling that for him?
Good question.
Okay.
Not right now, but
Okay.
according to the MOU, that is part of the things that we're gonna do for next year, but like I
Okay.
talked to them early. Putting two
You
to
knew.
school right now, yeah, so next year, what I wanna do is send another officer to school, resource officer to school. So in the absence of Officer Bennett for a prolonged period of time, that he or she would fill into that position.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any questions? All right, thank you, Chief. Moving along, service report.
Service report, the only thing I'll bring everybody up on is we're doing our in-house patching right now, pavement patching. We're working on Lower Jackson and Miles Road this week. By Friday, so the engineer can instruct our striping company to stripe those roads. Because the line patches are center line patches, so people know where they're at. So we need to get that done as soon as possible, and then after that, we'll move Hiram Trail, and then Ellendale and Wiltshire Road. All the other roads are in pretty good shape. There's a couple minor patches that got to go over. So we'll try to get those. Everything else can be decent shape. Other than that, remind everybody, September 30th, Land Bank. I talked to Councilman Yankee about something that I'll let him discuss with council, but looking forward to it, and hopefully it's just
Any questions? Good. All right, moving on. Jeff, did you? Engineer report, Mr. Pilarski, any updates tonight?
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everybody. The one thing I want to report on is the resurfacing on Western Jackson Road, west of Assam and Chagrin River Road between Miles and Chagrin Boulevard is going to start this Saturday. It's a little earlier than the contractor originally planned, but that's fine with us. Get it done before weather sets in. So you'll see construction there. They're only going to take about 4 weeks, I believe, maybe even sooner to finish the whole project. So they'll be out in middle October at the latest. And if anyone has any questions on the one ordinance tonight for the bid opening, I'm available for that also.
Thank you, Jeff. Any questions? Thank you. Finance report. Rashad, any updates for us tonight?
I'm sorry, I don't know if you can hear me.
We can.
Yeah.
Perfect. Oh, thank you. So two quick updates. Income tax revenues are trending lower than last year. We are running about 14% lower than last year. And that goes up and down, as you know, so we'll keep an eye on it. Not very concerned yet, but we'll, again, like I said, if it gets a little more more negative than we are, I'll keep council updated. And then we just recently certified to the county special assessments, as we do every year, for the sewer maintenance and the capital assessments, 108,000 approximately for the capital and about 204,000 for maintenance program. In addition, as you know, we have a special assessment with the Heritage Foundation, and we are just a pass-through authority in that respect. We collect the assessments and we send it over to NOPEC that had provided a grant to Heritage for upgrades to their buildings. So that was another assessment that we certified to the county. And that's all I have.
That's David.
I misread my ordinance assignment for today, or that's why I didn't call you earlier. So I apologize to everybody, but just assuming that you might not want to stick around until that ordinance is read. Do you mind just talking about what the county health contract is for $900 in the mayor's office? Appropriation is for $1,500.
Right. So We have a county health contract, but meaning a contract with the county health department every year. And I'm going to give you in 1 second what the total amount is for the year. It goes up, slightly every year. We had budgeted the same amount as last year, and this year it came in $900 more. So that's the additional amount that we require to pay the county. And with the mayor's office, I think there was some upgrades recently done, and he had bought some furniture that included a file cabinet, some storage cabinets, and a table. And that's what that $1,500 expense is, which wasn't in the budget. So if you give me 1 second, I'm going to try and look up the actual total amount for the county. And that is, okay, so that amount we had budgeted at, I apologize, 22,000, and it came in at 22,895 or something like that.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Thank you, Prashant.
You're welcome.
Moving along, building department, is Paul, I see you're on.
I do not have anything to report this month.
Excellent, thank you. And last but not least, our law report. Law director, do you have anything to report to us today?
Not really, Mr. President. Been working with several departments on just some ongoing matters.
Any questions? All right. Next, we have appointments and confirmations, which are, we have none anything. We also have next communications, petitions and claims, which we have none this evening. So up next is reports of committees, starting with the BZA and Planning Commission. Mr. Richmond.
Thank you, President. So we had two items on the BZA agenda, and we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items on the Planning Commission agenda. The first of those two items for the BZA was a request for a fence area variance at 205 Sternquist Drive. The Wood residents, they basically Planning Commission approved the variance request of 1.3 foot height variance over the 5 foot requirement, the 5 foot limit, and also approved a variance to have a 0% openness in the fence where the ordinances, our ordinance otherwise requires at least a 50% openness. And basically this was a fence surrounding a hot tub. So normally the fence openness requirement is so one can see the greenery throughout the fence, because this particular visual of what goes on inside a hot tub wasn't deemed as potentially visually pleasing as greenery. The variance was granted. The second item was a variance for a garage addition into the side setback. This was for the Natchez residents at 60 Easton Lane. So there were two variances requested. One was a 37.14 foot encroachment variance for a garage addition they wanted to build into the side setback, and the other was a variance of 8 feet for a driveway that would encroach into the side yard setback. This item was continued by the planning commission because while there was a previous approval for this way back in 2016, there were questions at the hearing as to the survey boundary between the property at 60 Eastern Lane and the neighboring property owner. And additional driveway work was done sometime between 2003, when the initial home was constructed, and 2016, which resulted in that part of their driveway being just 1 foot from the property line. And because of that, and the new variance, one of the reasons that one of the reasons in support of the request for variance was that it was in line with the previous existing driveway, and because there were questions on that and the property line as well, the board decided to continue that, and also was recommended that the neighboring property owners talk to each other. Neighboring property owner brought an attorney to the hearing to raise a number of these issues, and I understand the parties are talking, and presume hopefully we'll be able to reconcile that at the next meeting. At the planning commission meeting, there would have been plans for the garage addition for the Natchez residents, but because the variance that would have been required for that was continued, the plans for that addition was also continued. There was also plans submitted for a new dwelling at 45 Farwood Drive, the Holtz residence. This had been previously approved 2 years ago, but there was no work done within 12 months after it was initially approved, which is required by our ordinances. Otherwise, parties would have to come back and reapply. They did, in fact, reapply, and that the new dwelling was approved. Also, there was an addition, plans for an addition to the Siegel residence at 50 Willowwood Lane, and that was approved by the commission. And then there were 2 applications for conditional use certificates within our riparian areas, and those are the subject of our agenda a little bit later, and I'll cover them. Yeah, I'm sorry, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Steve. Report from the facilities.
Little stuff, but there's nothing important there. The biggest conversation that came down was the discussion about, we had 4 different pump stations down for different reasons, but basically like power outages and storms. So we had that extra, they put a temporary pump in one place that I guess we own, and they had to rent another one to run another station. And then they got the first one done, so they moved the pumps around. So the starter failed, DC control panel failed. So the net result is spending a little more time looking into some surge protection devices potentially, and possibly adding another backup pump instead of renting. And then the other thing that was talked about a little bit was when at Jackson in 91, when the power goes out, we just put 4 stop signs out there. It doesn't have the box like they do at 91 Chagrin, where the police can just plug a generator and it'll continue to work. So they're looking at possibly setting that up to have that box, and then potentially buy another generator. So none of those are on the list yet, but they're all being talked about. That's it.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Finch? Next, roads and safety, Mr. Emmerman.
Thank you. It's probably one of our shortest meetings, actually, so not a whole lot. I'll just say a lot of great things happening in the police department. Motorcycles are both out and running. New truck looks fantastic. Just waiting on a few little outfitting items on that, but it's all graphics are there, and it's a really good looking truck, and new furniture is in and in place. So it's got a cool department.
But we do that.
Yeah. Now you look cool. Yeah. Now you look good. So, so you'll see the bid opening for the drainage program later, so I won't talk about that. The Chagrin retaining wall painting is going smoothly. We looked at some photos from the contractor where they're demonstrating meeting some performance criteria on the sandblast, I think the sandblasting part of it. And the only other item I'll bring up is the mayor received the proposal from Mike Weiss's group, and so we're on that. So if we remember this, I actually brought that up at the committee of the whole meeting, which I missed, but yeah, there's that. That's it.
Any questions for Mr. Emmerman? Up next is the Parks Commission. That is me. I was unable to attend, and I will get the minutes out to council as soon as I get them. I do know most of the discussion centered around Head for the Hills, October 7th. It's not on your calendar. Registration is open. I'm also happy to announce that we were able to obtain some more sponsors than we had last year. So, and I think more of at the platinum tier than we had last year, which I think is $1,000. So things are going really well with it. Any questions for me? All right, and moving along, last but not least, the Green Commission, Mr. Richmond.
Thank you, Mr. President. So actually, it was a very good meeting. And a lot to talk about. The mayor first gave an update, which included the update for the solar project, and he also summarized a number of discussions he had with folks at the county regarding environmental / green ideas and how the county might help. One was he did inquire of them regarding the I know we have 2 motorcycles, but regarding an electric motorcycle that Woodbury got from a grant. Also the county mentioned that there would be some upcoming grants regarding charging stations, that there was a co-op group regarding solar for homes that he was going to, I'm sure he took notes for us. There was also discussions regarding the county's plastics reduction initiatives. We also talked about the school grant program that Mayor Fritz had actually started, that Mayor Spencer and Green Commission are talking about, generated a lot of good ideas, including good ideas from Saffron Melly, the new youth representative. We had decided to first, before we continue to brainstorm ideas, to check with the faculty administrators of the environmental clubs of the schools, just to find out what was feasible from their perspective. We also talked about, as much as we do a good job promoting greening the hills, if there was any additional promotion that we could do. Banners on trucks was one idea, and publishing with graphs and other info the specifics on how much we recycle, and the breakdown that was mentioned. Also mentioned that perhaps for next year, we should look to a strategy regarding recycling, simplifying things, because the items that we're allowed to recycle seems to change every other day. And the idea was maybe we should just recycle on those items that haven't varied since the beginning of recycling. For example, glass, paper, and cardboard. And finally, there was discussion regarding First Energy is again offering to donate free trees, and will help plant the same. And finally, there was an idea that we should consider becoming a quote-unquote tree city, which we may already qualify for by virtue of the dollars we already spent in the budget regarding trees. That's the basis of our meeting.
Any questions for Mr. Richard? Good, that is all of the reports of committees. Moving along, approval of bonds, contracts, plats, etc. And tonight, as Mr. Richmond referenced, we have 2 conditional use permits. So we'll start with 40 and 50 Addison Lane, conditional use for slope stabilization in the riparian and protected hillside areas.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was actually gonna just start, if that's okay, with just some general reminders to those of us here or those of us in internet land regarding the conditional use process. And basically, because conditional use is a non-typical use of property within particular zoning area, our code has additional kind of jump through hoops requirements. And in this event, the additional requirements are basically an applicant coming before council. I'm sorry, coming before planning commission and having a public hearing as to whether their application can be approved. And then there's another hoop, and that is what we're doing here tonight, and that is from council to then review the report of the planning commission and a recommendation for or against. And then the council is then faced with decision to either approve the recommendation, to reverse and deny the recommendation, to amend it, or to send it back to the planning commission for additional deliberation. The particular conditional use, first of all, those procedures they've been wondering are in our ordinance code section 112907. It also has breakdown of the criteria that planning commission looks for as far as whether to grant a conditional use or not. And the particular use that we're talking about can be found in our code section in 117307 E2 C and D, and that's basically stream bank stabilization within riparian areas. And the uses of right within that area, as you might mention, are limited. They're allowed such things like hiking and fishing, limited recreational activity and reforesting type activity. And that's because obviously these are water courses and riparian areas, and it's important to us, and it has been, to protect our fragile ecosystem. And the conditional uses allowed are also limited. One of them, it would be a crossing over. We had that a couple months ago as far as a drive across a riparian area. The other would be landscaping, and then we've got the stream bank. We've got the stream bank stabilization. which is a conditional use. And the first one that we're talking about is the is 50 Addison Lane, and this also affects 40 Addison Lane, which is why we're talking about 40 and 50. The applicant was actually 50 Addison Lane, and this is basically they are applying for a conditional use permit to allow activities to stabilize the slope that's adjacent to the Chagrin River on the northwest corner of their property. There's excessive erosion that's occurring, and that excessive erosion is threatening not only 50 Addison Lane, but 40 Addison Lane. And the activity that is being applied for is to stabilize the slope by slightly regrading it and adding limestone and additional landscaping. No work within the river is proposed for this conditional use, and as a result of that, no EPA or Army Corps of Engineer permits were required. Our engineer did review and approved or recommended that we approve this project. He mentioned it's a small job, and he knows of the folks doing the work, and he's evaluated the job. The Planning Commission, based on that recommendation as well as their own review, has recommended that the council approve this application. And so with all of that said in mind, unless there are any questions, I'm happy to make a motion to approve the Planning Commission's recommendation for a conditional use certificate. Yes, sir.
I do have a question. So this is the property that we did a conditional use permit for bank stabilization and work in the riparian zone, and I think some sort of rehabilitation or restoration project. So was it that was unsuccessful and that's why this is occurring, or is this completely separate from that previous project?
I understood from our Jeff on, I don't know, Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong. I understood this was separate from that project, and obviously a lot smaller in scope than that project that you're referring to.
Mr. President,
Yes.
could I comment on that?
Please, Jeff.
Okay, so this is just an extension of what they did prior at the downstream end of the property. In fact, when they did first present a couple years ago to get the first conditional use, there was a question came up as what happens if it continues to erode downstream. They said, well, when that comes up, if it comes up, we will take care of it. So that's the result of this is the result of that action. So it's only about 40 feet long, and it's, as Councilman Richmond said, it's above high water, so no other permits are needed.
Okay, so it was kind of anticipated even at that time. I mean, I remember at the time it was already eroding, it was already necessary, and you think it's just gonna we're gonna keep chasing this, or they are gonna keep chasing this, or?
Well, as you know, rivers change course, they erode in different areas over the years, so they're just trying to keep up with it. How far they're going to go, I don't know. I know they're doing part of this on the neighbor's property with their approval, so they're being good neighbors, and I don't know where it's going to go in the future, but they need to do this right now.
And it seems like it has a ways to go before we're now hitting Chagrin Boulevard. Seems like it's still fairly far away from that. But do you anticipate issues with Chagrin Boulevard into the future if work keeps coming along the bank of the river there?
Well, that would be up to the Metro Park, because after the property at 40 Addison, and it's all Metro Parks up till Chagrin Boulevard.
Oh, okay. All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I was remiss in that Metro Parks did submit two basic questions and was satisfied with the answer. They basically want to know whether this was below the high water mark and whether there were going to be any extensive activities and there weren't, and they were fine with what is proposed as well. So
I will second the motion.
Mr. Emmerman?
Yes.
Mr. Fish?
Yes.
Mrs. Irish West? Yes. Mr. Hanky?
Yes.
Mr. Richmond?
yes.
Mr. Vincent?
Yes.
Thank you. And so the second initial use application is for the same type, but a little bit more extensive. And the application is by the resident of 108 Hunting Trail, but again, since this would also potentially affect 110 Hunting Trail, they have also been consulted and are fine with this proposal. And what basically is being proposed here are activities to stabilize the stream adjacent to and west of the home at 108 Hunting Trail. There's basically excessive erosion within the stream. Now we're talking about within the stream, such that the erosion is threatening the stability of the home at 108, as well as threatening the drive and buildings at 110 Hunting Trail. So there's basically to stabilize the stream and protect the structures. The applicant is proposing to stabilize approximately 150 lineal feet of the stream, in basically two ways. One is to put a diversion pipe to capture roadside drainage, and the pipe will outlet into the stream, but it'll be further south than is what currently is happening, so it can bypass the highest area of the erosion. And then limestone and granite going to riprap, which I understand is big rocks, will be installed in the channel to further help stabilize and protect the channel from further erosion. Because this temporary work will occur within the stream, a director's authorization from Ohio EPA is required and was obtained. Also, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has a project number assigned. There was no formal application for a permit because I understand that there is what's called a nationwide permit 13 for bank stabilization that is for certain projects that are not as involved and don't have as major impacts to waterways, that they fall within that permit more automatically rather than having to specifically apply for it. Again, our engineer has recommended approval, and planning commission, based on the engineer's recommendation and their own review, also unanimously recommended approval. And again, happy to answer any questions, and also happy to make the motion to approve the recommendation of planning commission of accepting this conditional use certificate.
Quick question. The other one I know is just on the Sugar River. Is there anybody on the other side of this creek that would be looking at this thing or anything that we? Any ideas?
I'm Judith Mitchell, I'm the representative.
Okay.
Across the river or stream is nothing. So the stream comes down to
Okay.
there's another tributary and it's all forested.
And that's fine. I just want to make sure we're putting it in the or something. Maybe somebody else's out. Okay.
Thank you.
I think I'd like to look at it.
Yeah. They were identifying some understanding,
Okay, thank you.
getting those facts. And yeah, obviously neighboring owner is happy with the project because it protects their property.
Second, is all the questions.
Super.
Mr. Everman?
Yes.
Mr. Fit?
Yes.
Mr. Cyrus Black? Yes. Mr. Yankee?
Yes.
Mr. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Benson?
All right, thank you, Mr. Richmond. How you holding up, Steve?
I'm good. There's one more, and then you don't have to hear anything from me.
All right,
At least you run to the chief. Thank you.
moving along to ordinances. First ordinance is ordinance 2023-44, an ordinance amending section 15302 of the codified ordinances, paid holidays to include Juneteenth as a paid holiday, to remove the designation of Good Friday as a specified paid holiday, and to add one personal day in order to provide employees with additional holiday flexibility. And that one is going to Mr. Richmond.
Thank you, Mr. President. Hopefully you'll indulge me just for a couple minutes. I wanted to just give a touch of background here. So this ordinance is, I think, most likely one of those that most, if not all of us, have been thinking about, and thinking that we should enact the same, but perhaps we weren't always aligned as far as procedurally when to enact same, since this deals with compensation and pay ordinances that typically happen at a different period of time, as you know. But it seemed to me, perhaps a bit prematurely, but in July, when we were adjusting parts of this paid holiday ordinance for a different reason, that it was substantively time to declare Juneteenth a paid national holiday for Moreland Hills and to formally celebrate same. And to some, it was past time because we had Juneteenth had been declared a federal holiday in 2021, and it's also been declared a state of Ohio holiday, Cuyahoga and other counties and a number of municipalities, and to others, the enacting such an ordinance was about 160 years later than perhaps it should have, but obviously Moreland Hills wasn't even an act, wasn't even a village for a lot of those years. But the bottom line is that it seemed definitely the time to do this appropriately. As you know, we passed a resolution unanimously declaring our support for adding Juneteenth as a holiday. And then we took a little bit of time, as we always do with all of our ordinances, or most of our ordinances, to look at all the issues and all the angles, and with administration help. We found out that Moreland Hills, except for one other community, had the most paid holidays than all those in our area, and we found out that the cost for an additional holiday was approximately $18,000. However, in our community or in our committee of the whole discussions, we all agreed that our employees are worth it, that they continuously produce grants and savings on a yearly basis that far exceed $18,000 a year, and that this ordinance would also support our employees as well as follow the intents and goals behind our Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Commission, and also demonstrate respect for our own employees of color. And then also looking at all aspects of the ordinance, we also decided to replace Good Friday with a personal day, so those who don't celebrate this religious holiday could also use that day for one of their own holidays or for personal time or family time. And so the bottom line here is I'm proud to first make a motion to suspend the rules to approve ordinance 2023-44.
Second.
Mr. Emmerman,
Yes.
Mr. Fish,
Yes.
Mrs. Irish West, Mr. Yaki,
Yes.
Mr. Richmond,
Yeah,
Mr. Vincent.
and thank you for indulging my soliloquy, and I'm also proud to make a motion to approve ordinance 2023-44.
Comments. I'll just say, Steve, I appreciate you giving the administration and others time to work out the details of this. I think from the beginning, we all supported Juneteenth as a holiday and as a paid holiday and working out those particulars. So I appreciate the time on that. And just to note too, I also think we all and myself understand the importance of Juneteenth, and it is a holiday, and the decision of whether it's a paid holiday and with time off or celebrate in other ways. There's a number of different ways to celebrate and to recognize the holiday. And I only say that to say that I think as the mayor, administration, and others we're looking at this as holistic, which holidays are paid time off. I think it was just important exercise to look at the entire package. So I know that extended this out about 2 months or so, but appreciated your patience with that. And that I'm happy to support it formally now and supported it the entire time.
I know, I appreciate it and I agree. That's kind of what I meant to say in 30 sentences that you put together in 2. So
Can I add 2 more? I also like the way that this all went, augmented the original good idea to be even more inclusive end result by switching the Good Friday to a personal day. I think that was sort of like an extra bonus on this whole theme.
yeah, thank you for mentioning that, David.
I thought that was a great, that came out of I'll call it a debate, the discussion we had. I thought that was really great.
I agree.
I'll add my 2 cents really quick. Just well, I'd like to thank the mayor for taking the time and really, I know he was supportive of it, and I know he sat down with department heads and every employee, because this is who we were doing it for, to get their take on it. So I think at the end of the day, we came up with the best possible results. Thank you, everyone involved.
Okay.
Right.
Mr. Emmerman.
Yeah.
Mr. Fish.
Yes.
Mrs. Irish West. Yes. Mr. Yaki.
Yes.
Mr. Richmond.
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes.
All right, moving along. Ordinance 2023-45, an ordinance providing additional appropriations, transferring items already appropriated, and declaring emergency. That goes to Mr. Everett.
Thank you. So I appreciate, Mr. Shaw, kind of giving the details of it. I don't have anything more to add beyond that. So, with that, I'll make a motion to suspend the rules.
Second,
Mr. Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mr. Fish.
Yes.
Mrs. Irish West. Yes. Mr. Yaki,
yes.
Mr. Richmond,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes.
Pass.
Second.
Mr. Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mr. Fish,
Yes.
Mrs. Irish West. Yes. Mr. Yaki,
Yes.
Mr. Richmond,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes.
Right, and up next, resolution 2023-46. It's a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county fiscal officer. And that goes to Councilperson Irish West.
Thank you, President. And this resolution, as I dug into it a little bit, seems like it's a standard yearly adoption required by Ohio Revised Code 5705, 34. These rates, I checked in with Rashad and they haven't changed in the last couple of years, so there's no increase to them. So with that, if there are any additional questions for Prashant related to this, I would probably open those up now, unless you want me to move to suspend the rules prior to that. Okay. For Patrick? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Mr. Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mr. Fish.
Yes.
Mrs. Irish West. Yes. Mr. Yaki,
Yes,
Mr. Richmond.
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes.
all right.
Motion to pass.
Second.
Sorry. It's been a busy month.
Oh, yeah, for school starting back up, right?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mr. Fish.
Yes.
Mrs. Irish Glass.
Yeah.
Mr. Yaki.
Yes,
Mr. Richmond.
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes.
thank you. And finally, ordinance 2023-47, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with CA Agresta Construction for the 2023 drainage program and declaring an emergency. And this goes to Mr. Vincent.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, so this is the bids, I believe we mentioned earlier, were opened on September 8th for the 2023 drainage program. We got four bids, actually, I think we got five. It's five bids, thank you. I talked to Mr. Polarski and made sure that this was a contractor that we were happy with because we got a very good bid. The low bid was $87,774, which is roughly 18% lower than the engineer's estimate, which is very, very good. Looking over the bid form, it looks very like across the board. They just seem like they're hungry. To use the term that Jeff used, we're getting a bargain with this firm. They do good work. So I will happily make a motion to suspend the rules first. Second.
Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mr. Fish.
Yes.
Mrs. Irish Glass.
Yes.
Mr. Yaki,
Yes,
Mr. Richmond,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes. And I'll make a motion for passage unless there are any questions. Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
Yeah, I just, and I know, we've got just recommendation, I'm good, I just, didn't recognize the name. Have they done much of anything in our area? Do you know, or did Jeff, do you know?
He
Yes.
did, I asked him, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they did either Twin Acre Court or Creekview Circle pavement replacement 6-7 years ago. One of those two
Oh.
streets, I forget which one.
Right.
I got one question. Jeff, I don't know if you have this in front of you, but it seems under the unit pricing for unit price of pipe removed, they're at $10 a foot. And the next lowest was at $70. I'm just curious if that was inaccurate or do they mean to be higher? I mean, it seems that,
No,
That's-
what you see is what you get. I mean, you can look at any of the items. The next one, pavement repair, they're at 400, and the next bidder was 225. So they move money in different spots. It's typical of any bid you receive.
okay,
And I did look over the drawings, and there's not a lot in that. So,
yeah.
So it was like low risk, they probably put the money where they want it.
That makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah, and I forgot to mention that the work generally is replacing some pipe out there, digging some ditches, PVC type drain, stuff like that. Nothing, doesn't seem all that complicated. But yeah. Did I make a motion to pass?
That is, yeah.
There you just said.
I make a motion to pass. Second.
Brenneman,
yes.
Mr. Fish,
Yes.
Mrs. Irie West.
Yeah.
Mr. Yaki.
Yes.
Mr. Richmond.
Yes.
Mr. Bennett.
Yes.
All right, that is all of the ordinances for the evening. Up next is miscellaneous business by members of council. I do have one thing I'd like to discuss. The employee clam bake is coming up, and historically, the council made a donation to the clam bake. Ted, do you remember how much in the past? It's
Usually about 4 cases total.
okay. 4 cases of beer. Since we do not use donated funds. So we can figure that out as a council. I'll send an email out. It's an important job, so we will take care of it.
It's not the pavilion this year,
It's at Hare House Camp in the dining hall.
okay, and this is back there, right, or been.
I'm guessing everyone got their forms in.
I got most of them.
If not,
I will accept late comers.
any other members of council have anything to share this evening?
Just one thing I was gonna ask, Chief, is there it's not really, council business, but is there a baby registry for like a baby shower, or is it council, maybe Bill, maybe we can organize, or Chief, maybe you can help us if council wants to put
I'll let you know.
stuff together.
I'm not aware of anything right now, but I'll give you a call. Okay.
Okay, great. Yeah, if not, maybe we can come together and
I'd love to do that.
put something like that for gifts. Okay, great.
Huh? Fit. Yeah.
Busy,
Huh?
busy person.
Yeah.
So did you just have a baby in your department too?
Yes, Alex Nelson, him and his wife had a baby last Thursday.
Oh, no.
Baby Rose, 6 pounds.
Something in the water, or a little early, yeah.
Any other items from council? All right, and I do not see any residents in attendance. So last and least, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Brenneman.
Yes.
Mr. Fish.
Yes.
Mrs. Irie West. Yes. Mr. Yaki.
Yes,
Mr. Richmond.
Yes.
Mr. Bennett.
Yes.
thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, we were right.
So they-
Hi.
Take care.